All right. Hey, it's still Sabbath, so happy Sabbath. All right. Well, I'm really glad that you could be here. Um, it's always fun when you put something together and somebody shows up, you know? It's like, yes, this is good. All right, so we're going to get moving here. Did I do something wrong? Oh, you mean I got to be able to see that? All right, so this is Wilderness Journey Survival Program Part 2. Part 1 was last month, and we went through a lot. Okay, I gave you a full basic overview of everything. Pretty extensive, wasn't it? Yeah, it was too extensive, Jim. We cut these down here. So here's my Wilderness Journey logo. Give us a little bit of an idea of what we're doing here. And there is our first slide. Now, what we're talking about today is the kit, okay? And everything to do with, well, Jim, what's a kit? You know, it's a, yes. Pen or pencil? All right, yes, we will get some pens and pencils here. So, what is a kit? No, sir, not a kid, a kit. K-I-T.
Like something like a little like a package thing with like a lot of stuff that you might need at a time.
Yes, it's a collection of things, isn't it? That's what the kit is. Now, should we have any type of organization in there, or should my kit be one big old bag? Organization. I've got a very strict organizational person here. Of course, she says organization. You know, some people, they like just throwing all their stuff into one big bag, you know, but we need to know kind of what stuff that is that we're talking about. And that's where Mr. Dave Canterbury came up with the idea of the 10 C's of survivability. So everything that he's got on his list of 10 here starts with the letter C, okay? And so number 1, cutting tool. Number 2, combustion. Number 3, cover, which means sheltering or clothing. Number 4, container. Number 5, cordage. Number 6, candle, some type of light source. Number 7 is cotton. Number 8 is compass. Number 9 is cargo tape, which is duct tape. And number 10, canvas needle, something to sew your problems up with. Fix your pack, you know, fix your pants, whatever you need to do. Some things break out there, and it's not very fun, okay? But the 10 C's of survivability are a good place to start in any type of a kit, okay? Because they cover the things that you need. The first 5 cover everything that's really, really hard to recreate in the wild. Okay? Could you imagine going out there and trying to make yourself a knife? How about a container? That sounds like a fun one, right? Something you can boil water with? It can be done. Birch bark containers have been used for hundreds of years, and they don't put those on the fire. They heat the rocks up and put them in the water, and that's what boils it. Yes? But I don't absolutely need that compass to survive out there. These first 5 cover your absolute needs. You got to have, or you are in a problem. Yes, Matt? Well, if everybody knows that we live in the northern hemisphere, right? We all know that. That's common knowledge. Northern hemisphere, North America, right? Where does the sun come up? Where does it go around our planet mostly? It's called the equator. That's what direction from us? South. Okay? So if the sun's coming up first thing in the morning, where's it at? Southwest, okay? Southeast, I'm sorry. It rises in the east, sets in the west. So very first thing in the morning, it's southeast. Midday, noontime, direct south. Okay, so if I'm looking at the sun over here and I say, okay, that'd be north. You know? So I can do without a compass. I don't have to have one. Can I follow a bearing without one? No. That's what they are absolutely great for. But we'll get into more of that later down the road. Right now, it's just a matter of we need these things in our pack. It's going to make life way better. Okay? So, speaking of where we're going to carry all these items, this is a commonly used feature here. It's a backpack. It's not necessarily a very ancient way of carrying things, unless you look at Otzi, the Iceman. He had a rudimentary backpack. But other than that, most people carried things in a different manner. They either had a knapsack or a duffel bag or something. They just carried their stuff, okay? But I think lazy people designed backpacks. I'll just string it up here, now hands-free, I'm good. Okay, so works very well. Problem is, well, I'll get into the problem here in a minute, but this is another means of carrying something, because it's called a haversack. Okay, haversacks have been used for hundreds of years, and they put their primary things in their haversack, things that they got to get to right now, that they don't want to stop, drop their pack for, and start digging to the bottom for their toilet paper or something. That might want to be that in their haversack or something. This is a modern style haversack. It's got a lot of different organization in it. It's more of just a bag with, almost looks like a camera bag. But you can get a lot of organization within that small bag if you give it a shot. And I would recommend it, because when you need something, you just want to put your hand on it and get it. You don't want to be searching for it or taking time. It might be raining and you don't know where your tent stakes are. Or, gee, what did I do with that cordage? Oh yeah, it's way at the bottom of my pack. I kind of need it now. Not a good deal. So organizing your gear is probably going to be the best thing that you want to do. Okay, now I put this slide in here because a lot of people don't know this story. Anybody ever hear of Grandma Gatewood? Oh, you don't do too much about traveling or backpacking, because Grandma Gatewood is a absolute legend. Okay, she started traveling on the Appalachian Trail, which is the trail that she travels the most. So there are 2,190 miles of trail, and she started that at 6 years old. Okay, it was the first time she went end to end from Georgia to Maine at 6. I'm sure she had her family with her. Okay, but she's been doing it every year. Now in 1973, she was 85 years old and completed the trail that year. So, can you do it? Yeah, Grandma Gatewood can do it. You can do it, right? But look at how she carries her stuff. I mean, she's got, I know there's supposed to be one of those little, yeah, there we go. It doesn't show up on the screen. Anyways, see that bag that she's got over her shoulder? Just a duffel bag. That's what she carried all her stuff in. I get tired over here, we're going to put it over here. I get tired of it over here, I'm going to set it down for a minute. She was like one of the forerunners of the old Keds sneakers. Okay, that's what she liked to wear on trail. So people were like, yeah, trail approved. So it doesn't take a lot of gear. Everything that she has to be on trail for months at a time, she has it on her back right now. So all the gear that she needs. Now she needed to stop in the different towns and resupply her food and pick up water along the trail. But as far as everything that she needed, her clothing, her shelter, her sleeping system, everything right there. And that's where the kit comes in. Yeah, Ab? Very sporadically. They do have some places to shelter there. That part of the trail that you went to, Haya, did they have shelters on that at all? Okay. They didn't have those back when she started. They started putting those in later. But I'm sure by 73 there were quite a few shelters in. But either way, she was ready to go. Okay, now this is one thing that I wanted to show you. Not only can you put things on your back, but you can balance your load by using front packs. I've got some packs that are, they call them ribs packs. They land right here on the ribs, but they go underneath my pack straps, and they're really comfortable. I can get 10 more liters of gear in the front that I don't have to have in the back. So those are good thing to think about, different ways of carry. Now this is a pretty much standard set of gear, okay? We're gonna have a gear loadout demonstration over here in the other side after this, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what was going on with some of the gear. So they've got a backpack here, looks like they've got a shelter right there, a sleeping bag, something to cover water with. Looks like there's they definitely got their electronics figured out. They got a little sewing kit. Looks like they got some way of starting some fires. They got a spoon, little stove, little canister of fuel. So they've got all their little things covered. And that's what you need to do with this. One of the other things that we're going to be doing over there is I've got a checklist, that you're going to get tonight. And we're going to talk about that and have a little bit of fun with that. But it's from one of the big manufacturers, Teton, and they're going to help us identify some of the things that we might want to have in our pack. Here's another idea of a very minimalist type pack. There's not a lot going on in there, but you notice they've got the basis covered, okay? You got your water, you've got communication, you've got first aid, looks like a matches thing over there, so they got that covered. I don't see a lot of tools in this one. Now for me, I like tools. I was a tool maker by trade, so I kind of like tools. They're handy, You ever see a beaver take down a tree? These aren't built for that, okay? I'm going to have a saw with me. I'm going to have an axe with me. I'm going to have a knife with me. And I'm not alone in this. These high-end Matt over here, they're all over tools, It's like, yeah, these are good things to have. So don't forget the basics. And what are the basics? Container, cutting tool, cordage. He's got tape up there and he's got a light up there as well, first aid kit on there. He's got his fire covered, and it's all sitting on a tarp. So he's got a rudimentary little camp right there. And part of what we're going to be getting at here down the road, especially next month, is we're going to be starting in on shelters. Little preview, okay? Shelter building. How do I put up a shelter? How do I get myself out of the rain, out of the snow, out of the sun? Sometimes you want to get out of the sun too. So you got to remember the basics. This is what you don't want to have, okay? So, looks bad, doesn't it? That looks like my first pack when I first went backpacking. I had everything in there. That pack weighed 80 pounds. And yeah, well, the worst part was it was the first church camp out that I went on. And we hiked 2.5 miles down the sandy beach to our camp spot in the wilderness area. And there's a big hill there. And guess what? Elaine couldn't carry her pack up the hill. So guess where her pack went? And up the hill Jim went. Needless to say, I think I took a nap after that one. But, I mean, her pack was like 35, 40 pounds. So I was a lot younger then. So this is not a good thing. This is even worse. So, minimalist? I think not. Is there such a thing as too much gear? Yes, there absolutely is such a thing as too much gear. If you're this guy, you're in trouble. You know, how far do you think you're going to get? It's like, time to camp. I got my 2 steps in today. We're good. Yeah, the guy's not going to get wet. All he's got to do is stand still, right? Could somebody come feed me? I'm hungry. Okay, so this is a kind of a thing we're going to learn a little French today. Okay, can anybody say the word oui? Oui, oui. Okay, so OUI is the French word for yes, and it tells you if you've got it right. And we're talking primarily about your sleep system, okay, and your shelter. So you need something to sleep on, something to sleep under, and something to sleep in. If you can cover those 3 things, you're pretty good to go on your shelter and sleep system. Okay, so what do we mean? What do I mean by sleeping on? What would you think? A tarp on the ground? That's a good start. What about, what else? A little thin ground mat? Yeah, that's good. Why do we need that from last time? Why do we need a little thin mat on the ground? Conduction. That's the word. That's the killer. That's the one where it creeps up and makes your butt cold at night. Okay? You don't want that at all. Because, no, you just don't want to go there. So, conduction. Yes, having something under you or something for you to be on is a good idea. How about something to be under? You can be under a blanket, but is that going to keep the rain off of you? So what are we thinking about being under? Some kind of shelter, okay, either a tarp, a tent, or something like that to be under. And now how about in? Blanket, sleeping bag, whatever, yes.
I would recommend the blanket, the foil blanket that extends here. I have one of those.
Okay. He was talking about an emergency blanket, and those are good if you know how to use one. If you don't, a jungle blanket, now she's talking, that's my girl. Okay, so an emergency blanket is a piece of mylar foil that reflects 90% of the heat back at you that you would be normally losing. And it is a good thing, but I'll tell you what, in this kind of weather, you're going to freeze. That mylar is going to get cold. Your heat's going to come in and then go. Heat come in and go. You need something, insulation. Insulation is the key. Insulation, okay? If you don't have any insulation, you are in trouble. You need a little bit. Okay, so on, under, and in. So that's the things to think about. We got it covered, yes. So with that thought process, here we go. What's on the bottom? He's got a tarp laying out there, right? Why is that? Why do we need a tarp on the ground? What comes up through the ground? Dew. It do make you wet, don't it? Doo-doo is even worse. That's a double do. Okay, so yes, you need to be able to protect yourself from the damp ground. Okay, there's a lot of vegetation here, and I'm sure in the morning there's going to be a lot of dew coming up from the bottom. And your blanket's not going to be too happy. It's going to be pretty wet. But then they've got the blanket there, something to get in, and then something to be under, which is the tarp. And that's a really nice tarp configuration there, isn't it? It looks pretty spacious, pretty comfy, really kind of airy. It's a kind of a summertime situation there, so you want to leave it up off the ground a little bit more to get some airflow through there. Yes? Foot powder? Yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, that's part of your hygiene kit. Okay, you want to keep your feet dry, okay? Especially if you were doing a lot of trucking where you're going through puddles or rivers or something like that. You want to dry your feet off, because the worst thing that can happen is your feet can get, well, they call it Michigan wet foot. It's like where the skin's all sloppy and white and nasty because it's been in the water too long. You've seen little kids at the pool, right? Their moms are going, "Get out of there. You know, gotta take you over and get you dried off." Well, that's why, because they're just way too wet. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Now this one, the first one there was a ground system, okay? In other words, you're laying on the ground. This is my preferred method here, which is hanging suspended in the air. Okay, some people call that a bear taco, you know. I mean, it depends on your area, but I've never had any animals come up to me and approach me while I was in my hammock. Never. They're just like, now if you're in moose country, you might want to be really wary about straying something between two trees, because that's their country. You're invading their territory, and they will walk right through your tent, right through your hammock. You know, we're talking 5,000-6,000 pounds of animal there. It can do what it wants. Yes.
But what if the animal steals your supplies?
That's a good question. That's why we're going to get into, when we are camping, if we're camping in raccoon country or bear country, you use a bear bag. You tie your food up and you hang it up in the tree, which they got to find it first, and then they got to try and steal it. So that makes it a whole lot worse. But as far as this goes right here, this is really comfortable. Now, what do I need to worry about as far as under me? Do I need to worry about anything under me? That would ruin my day, buddy. Landing on a pine cone. Underquilt, yes. If you've ever been in a hammock and the wind picks up, it's like you get cold really quick because the wind comes up, it grabs your heat and takes off with it. That's called convection, okay? It's going to steal your heat by convection. So, underquilts, okay? Even in the summertime, I'll put an underquilt on my hammock, and I just lay back in there, and I'm all happy boy in my hammock, and I'm having a good time. So, another way to do that. Okay, here is kind of an odd situation. I wanted to bring this to you because what do you see? What's wrong with this camp? What's that? Oh. So what's wrong with this camp? Where are they camped at? Down in a little valley right there. Okay, is that a good idea? Why? Water could run down there. What does cold air do? It goes to the lowest point in the room, in the area, in the valley, is where all the cold air goes to. So guess what? Are they going to be warm or cold in that camp? Are they going to be wet or dry in that camp? Wet. So, and what do you think that trail is that they're on? Is that a good idea? You know, that could probably be a good animal trail. I don't want to put my camp up on one because sooner or later you're going to get this bear coming down there, and he's going to be saying, "Hey, I never saw this thing in the middle here. What is this?" Come on, boo-boo, let's get lunch, you know? And not a good idea. Don't want to camp on an animal trail. Okay, so here we go. This is kind of an idea of a fire kit. Okay, this is like over-the-top fire kit. You really only need a couple of things to effectively make fire, but this one, I don't care what situation you're in, this guy's going to get a fire. Okay, let me ask you this. Why is Carmex lip balm in a fire kit? Yes, it's flammable. Okay, hand sanitizer, flammable. Doritos, flammable. Fritos, corn chips, flammable. Okay. Taco shells, flammable. Okay. So, you kind of know how I went up as a kid, huh? What can we burn next? So, at any rate, yes, Stephen. Okay. So, fire kit. Now, next thing on the list here, we need to be able to take care of water. Now, this is my own personal new favorite, which is the Grail filter, and it's awesome. I featured it in my water video that I did for the first series that I put up on YouTube. And, I mean, you just go over, dip up some water, push this thing down, 6 to 8 seconds later, you're drinking water. It's just that fast, that easy. And it's really cool because inside this thing is that little filter right there that gets the water gets forced up through the bottom, and whatever's left up in the top after you're done pushing this plunger down, you're good to go. And it filters out everything: viruses, bacteria, protozoa, particulates. Anybody like chunks in their water? I don't like chunks in my water, so I like to pre-filter before I even do that. So no chunks. Chemicals, heavy metals, that's a big one. Improves taste. You know, when we were down on, Jahai and I went on a kayak trip with some other people, and we were on the river. What river were we on? Manistee River. And I couldn't believe how many boats actually went up and down that river. And you know, when a motorboat is going up and down a river, it's putting pollution into the water. And when the water was ice cold, I didn't notice it. But when the water warmed up a little bit, I could taste all the heavy metals, all the pollutants that were in the water. And I didn't have that cool filter at that time. I was just boiling my water. So, which takes us to this, which is our cook kit. Cook kits don't have to be really elaborate. Okay, if you got some kind of a pot with a lid on it, and you can put that in the fire, you know, start a fire and put that in there, that's the very first way. But if you want to do it quickly, this is a pretty good idea where you've got the small fuel canister and a little micro stove. They don't weigh hardly anything. They're easy to carry, and they're not that pricey anymore either. I bought, this is funny, because I bought one for Elaine for Christmas, and she lost it before she got a chance to use it. It was so small, the little box, I think she threw it away thinking it was empty. So I ended up having to buy her another one. Fortunately, it was only 12 bucks. Okay, so it's not too bad. They're not too bad to get these stoves. Yeah, the canisters are separate. That's a 100-gram canister right there, which is nice for portability. The ones at Walmart are a little bit bigger. Same deal, only the canister's bigger. It's a little heavier to carry. What's that? One of these little ones could last me over a weekend. So, I mean, you're just heating water. You're not at home cooking the big lasagna meal, you know. Trying to remember how much that will put out. I'm going to have to look back on that one. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's a lot of water that you can pump through them, like 50 gallons or something. And the initial cost to that, it's like 89 bucks, but you get one filter with it. To get a replacement filter, it's about 25 bucks. And most people, they'll use that in a season. Okay, so they'll go backpacking all year and they'll use this thing all year and then trade it out at the end of the year. Do you have to do that? No. Probably if you can afford to do that, that'd be a good idea. But you can put a lot of water through that thing. Yeah, Elaine and I both have one. We bought one for John, and I mean, yeah, and then get a box of filters set aside. But I'm actually working on something else. I'll talk to you about this later. It's a different type of water filtration system that you can have thousands of gallons of water pumped through it. 65 gallons? Okay, I wasn't too far off, 15 gallons. So, all right, now this is probably one of the most talked about cook sets on YouTube, the Stanley Adventure Cook Set, okay? And it's 14 or 15 bucks at Walmart. It's awesome. It comes with 2 little cups. Most people take those cups and toss them, put other stuff in there, because that fuel canister will fit right down inside of that. And then the stove will fit in on top of that. And you pop your top on, and you got a nice compact little kit, stove, fuel, and container to cook in. So those are pretty handy. I got one of those, so I like it. Now here's your bare minimum, okay, cook set. Okay, you've got looks like a 750 milliliter pot, a spork, and a stove. No, that'd be a titanium stove. So this is like ultralight stuff, ultra expensive stuff, okay? Here we have a pocket fishing kit. Now, primarily I eat vegetarian. If I were forced to not eat or eat, I would eat fish, okay? I like to catch them because they're fun. It keeps me going as far as being able to catch fish. It keeps my skill level up. Right now I catch and release. But having a rudimentary fishing kit in your stuff is a good idea because that's food. That's calories in the body that you need in a survival situation. And that's what we're talking about. I don't know about you, but I don't like eating bugs. Okay? Bugs are not on my menu. Okay? Grub worms, and all those other. No thanks. I don't care if they taste like cream corn or not. I don't want to eat this slug. Okay? I'll go eat a fish, clean fish. God says that's okay, so that's on the menu. Everything else is a matter of choice. We'll get into more food procurement stuff later on down the road. Hygiene Kit. How important is this stuff, guys? You gotta smell good when that bear is gonna eat you. All right. So, anybody know what that little thing is up on top? It's a shovel, okay? That is one of the absolute lightest little shovels or spades on the market, okay? And they are nice and handy to have. Why do we need one of those? Because when we're eating that fish, it's coming out the other side, right? And it's got to go somewhere, and on the trail is not the place for it to be. Okay, so you want to dig a little hole, and that's what that's for. Putting that stuff where it belongs, in the dirt. Okay, and then they've got some other things there, the little toothbrush. Now, I'm going to clue you in on something. See that toothbrush? See how that handle's all whacked off? Chop. Okay? That's what I call a gram weenie. Okay? These people they'll carry so much stupid stuff with them, but they'll cut the handle off their toothbrush to save weight. They cut the edges off their maps to save weight. They're doing this to save weight, doing that to save weight. Really? Leave your maps alone, man. Go ahead and comfortably brush your teeth, You don't have to do that kind of stuff. You can cut weight in other areas. Yes, Stephen?
Or you would cut and actually make it fit in something.
Now that's a different reason for cutting it down, okay? And it's a valid reason, and I agree with that. If it's got to go into this little container and it's too long, cutting a little bit off of it to get it to fit in the container is okay. But cutting it off like that just for weight, nah, we're not going there. All right, so what do we got here? We were just talking about the shovel. Got some toilet paper going on there. What's that other stuff in the bottle? Hand sanitizer. That's a good idea, isn't it? You know, if I'm going out to the woods to do my business and I'm coming back into camp and I didn't wash my hands and I didn't use hand sanitizer, you think it's a good idea for me to share your trail mix? No. Get your grubby paws out of there, okay? Okay, well, we're going to talk about that bandana because that's kind of a key item. If you are out of toilet paper, what do you have left? A bandana. That's why they got two of them, okay? One's for up here, the other one's for down here. Okay? Never mix the two. Have two different colors.
One's black and one is green. Green is good, black you don't live there.
You know, you can think of it as sod, okay? There's a green side and a black side, okay? Green side goes up, black side goes down, okay? Keep your grass in order. Okay, now there's another reason for backpackers, especially female backpackers, you'll see this hanging out the back of their pack. Do they think they need to wipe their brow all the time? Why is that hanging on the back of their pack? It's called a pee rag. Okay? So if they stop on the trail and they got to go, that's what they're using. Hang it up here to dry. We'll wash it out at the creek later. Okay? Hey, I get real. So that's a lot of what you see female backpackers having hanging on their pack, and that's why. So let's move on. Okay, we're getting down here to the end. This is talking about some first aid. Why do we have a first aid kit with us?
Just in case of emergency, like you get cut, you got like some kind of bandage.
Okay, we're talking about taking sharp stuff, really hot stuff, you know, all these other things, you know, blisters, splinters, bugs, ticks. I might want some of that stuff, you know what I'm saying? That might be a good idea to have some of that in my pack. So a nice little comprehensive first aid kit is a good idea. Do you think that if you're walking all day long carrying this pack, you went 20 miles today and you set your pack down and your body feels really sore, do you think it would be a good idea to have a little bit of ibuprofen in there? Maybe some Tylenol. You know, some things you got to think through your process. What do I need? And that's one of the things that you might need. Yes. Yeah. Hurting definitely does not feel good. So you don't want to hurt. Yes.
Don't you have to like bring like a sharp object in your first aid kit or like do lighter for your fire kit or something to like sterilize it?
Well, that depends on how minimalist you want to be. Okay, I can do a whole lot with my belt knife. Okay, or the little thin pocket knife that I carry with me. I can do a lot with that. I don't necessarily absolutely have to have anything in there. What I like to have in my first aid kit is a pair of scissors. Scissors are the bomb. Okay, you can do anything with those. You can make, take some duct tape and make some bandage out of it, some butterflies. But if you don't, you're stressing if you got this massive survival knife, and that's all you got, because it's a one kit option. And I'm trying to cut out these little tiny butterflies, you know. Negative. Have the tools, right tool for the right job. Yes, sir.
Hey, are you saying cut like butterfly things? You can always take like preschool scissors because they're small.
Yes, you can, and there are people that do that. In fact, there are people that have some really cool ideas out there with duct tape, and they took the duct tape and they stuck it on another thing so it would be able to come off, and they folded it over in half, and they sewed an X pattern between them, and that's their stitches. So get this big cut, slam that on there, pull it tight, and you're ready to rock. Okay, you're back on the trail because you're Rambo, yes. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of cool ideas out there in the medical field of how you can pre-set this stuff up. But for me, I'm not going to go there because that just adds a whole lot of weight to my medical kit. My medical kits are pretty extensive and heavy as they are. The one that I have in that pack right there weighs 1.25 pounds, just the medical kit. But I can take care of most anything. So I like that. So it needs to be easy to carry, small and lightweight, yet holds all the essential emergency supplies. And this particular one is only 5.2 inches by 7.5 inches big, and it's got 100 pieces in it. So usually those kit like that's going to be anywhere between 10 to 20 bucks. So not too bad. And you can add to them. I've never had a medical kit that I haven't added something to. Like while we're talking about that and being on the trail, you might eat something that disagrees with you and you got problems. Okay, now you're running off to the woods every 5 or 10 minutes, and you might want some Imodium in your pack. Imodium takes care of diarrhea. Pepto-Bismol, another good thing to have in there. You might get an upset stomach or diarrhea and have that just in there. Charcoal, another good thing to have in there, which is non-chemical. Okay, so yes.
Wait, you said all with diarrhea, but you could just eat like 8 protein bars and you'll be good.
And no, you'll be spewing those 8 protein bars, bro. You'll be spewing those 8 protein bars out the other end.
That's what I'm saying, but like it fixes the problem though.
Well, I'll stick with the medical area that I know. Okay, protein bars, I don't want to go there. I don't like the taste of them anyways. So, survival boot camp. Okay, this is what we're edging into. Next month, we are not going to be necessarily housing ourselves in the building. We're getting out there. We're going to do some dirt time. We're going to put up some shelters. I'm going to show you how to put shelters up, how to effectively utilize a tarp, and I think it might still be a little cold out. So get ready. Dress for the season, okay? Now, what we're going to be doing right now is heading over to the fellowship hall, and Jahai and I have some gear over there that we can talk about, and you guys can look at it. You can pick the pack up, see how much it weighs. I know how much mine weighs. It weighs 32 pounds right now, the gray pack that's on the table. So if you've never picked up a pack or never thought about carrying weight, put that pack on. See if you like it. If you don't like it, your kit's got to be lighter. Okay? All right, so we're going to call it on this one, and we're going to head on over there and take a look. Thank you.